On Biorhythms, we paint biographical portraits of stellar personalities whose careers have distinctive rhythms. Today, I have the very great pleasure of introducing a real stellar personality whose career has had an extraordinarily distinctive rhythm. Mr. Jacoby Dubouvier.
How are you?
Pretty good, sir. Nice seeing you.
Good to see you again.
Likewise. So, who is Jacoby Dubouvier? Where did you come from, and where were you born, and what was your childhood like?
Well, I'm from Virginia, and
what city in Virginia? Are you from Portsmouth or what?
I'm just from the Hampton Roads area. Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's a big city. Well, go ahead.
And I'm just a person who loves the entertainment industry. I did a lot of other jobs and careers before I just decided to follow my passion. And I wanted to touch every area of the entertainment industry. My real passion, of course, has always been music and singing and writing songs and playing the piano. However, I just wanted to make sure that if I did become a star as a recording artist, that I could work in the industry in any capacity, either in front of the camera or behind, or manage artists. So I did it all.
So can you briefly tell us about the other careers that you mentioned earlier? What other things that you do? I know you used to run a modeling company.
Yeah, the modeling company came after many years of sales. My first real career move was the manager of a restaurant. I was a restaurant manager for Subway. Okay. And then I got let go because the owners of the franchise wanted to operate it, so that left me unemployed. And so while I was at home, I was visiting my mother, and her insurance agent came by, and he said, "Man, you look sharp, and have you ever thought about selling insurance?" I was like, "No, because they work on commission." He said, "Well, I work on commission, and I got a Cadillac and a Rolex and a Bottom 500 suit. Did you get that at Subway?" And I was like, "No, I didn't." And he said, "Well, come to my office." So that was my entry into sales, and I became the top salesperson of the year, because when I found out that I could write my own check just by talking to people, and I could make twice as much as I was making at Subway, I was all in. And so I did that for 15 years. I mean, on and off, but yeah, that's the business I retired for. And then I said, when I turned 30, I'm going into entertainment full time. Because I just was listening to a song on the radio, and the theme of it said the name of the song that I was going to name my agency, and I opened the doors to it in 1998.
And what was the name of the modeling agency?
It was Beautiful People, Model Talent and Casting Agency, and it was a full-service model talent casting agency, theater, and school. Mm-hmm. So we manage, the whole model behind the company is that we train amateurs and manage professionals.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were a little guy, did you have any inclination, any idea at all that you would be doing what you're doing now in terms of?
Yes, I did. I had a band when I was 4 years old. I was the lead singer.
At 4 years old, you had a band?
At 4 years old, I was the lead singer of a childhood band called Shasha and the Tots. It was my older sister.
Called what, I'm sorry?
Shasha and the Tots. Shasha was my older sister.
Right.
And she plays the lead guitar. She plays like George Benson. I mean, she's very proficient. And so she was the head of the band, but when I became the lead singer, of course, I was singing Michael Jackson songs and spinning around, so they made me the band leader.
Shasha and the Tots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anything else creative as a kid, as a child? What else did you do?
Creative?
Well, I mean, what I really like to do is that your career is so varied, and we're going to talk about this, so varied and prolific in the entertainment industry. Right. And again, we're going to talk about that. But I really like to give a personal portrait of who Jacoby is. So as a child, what other things were you involved in? I mean, did you?
Well, realistically, music has always been my gift. I would say I didn't get into songwriting until in my teens. I didn't have no idea on how to write a song until I heard Lionel Richie said that he could write all of his songs in one key. And I was like, oh, well, I'm in the songwriting business because I can play all of Lionel Richie's songs already, because that's the artist that I learned how to play the piano to, playing his songs like Lady and Truly. All of those songs basically just rearrange the melody and you can play those songs. So I said, well, if I could play his songs. And I learned that I could make a mistake on the piano, and I liked the tension of the mistake. Like if it was supposed to be a major chord and then I hit the wrong note and it was a minor chord, I would write that chord down, at least some kind of symbol because I could read music when I was a teenager because I was always in band and chorus, but I would write down the chord. I would say, this is a C minor. I said, well, I like the way that sounds, and I'll add a little bit over here, and I'll just come up with one verse. And I wrote my first song because my cousin who I lived with when I was growing up, my brother, he was getting married, and I wanted to give him a special wedding gift. So I wrote him a wedding song called This Is Your Day. And everybody liked it, so I just kept on writing. Now I have over 350 songs in my catalog.
350 songs.
As a matter of fact, today I had a meeting with a very, proficient, world-renowned songwriter by the name of Juanita Wynn. She's written for Donald Ross and Fred Hammond, and the list goes on and on. So we had, I thought we were going to have lunch, but we never got to lunch because we're just talking, and she was listening to some of my tracks and encouraging me. She liked a lot, and that was very encouraging. Because if I can get some of my songs out at this stage of life, that would be, a dream come true. However, I have a couple of songs that are on the radio, but mostly the gospel songs are on AM, so they're not international. So I would love to hear some of my songs on the radio. Like my movies are out all over the world, but not my songs.
Now you mentioned movies. What about the movies? What movies
well,
have you done?
The very first movie that I was an extra in a movie called The Navy SEALs, and that was done through, what was the name of that? New Millennium? Not New Millennium.
No, Atlantic Films.
Yeah, Atlantic Film out in Suffolk. Right. I was just an extra in that.
Well, one of the producers on this show is Ethan Martin. His family started Atlantic Films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's been on the show too, but go right ahead.
Oh, okay. And I didn't like being an extra because when I got there, I had no idea for $100 a day that I was going to have to be by water with a machine gun with my shirt off in the winter. And I was like, this is not going to be something I want to pursue. And so my real first speaking role was in a movie called Nothing to Lose, where I was the casting director as well, and I was able to cast several people from my modeling agency into that film.
Beautiful people.
Including Michael LaMelle, and he and I have a production company together now called the LaMelle Group, which is the one that, I'm on the board of directors. It's his company. He just brought me into, I don't know if it's a partner or whatever, but we have a great relationship.
Well, I want to come back and talk some more about the movies that you've made, and but right now we're going to take a break, and we're going to talk about that, and we're going to get later into Black Man Rock.
And my new play, too.
And your new play.
Yeah, okay.
Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
All right, thank you.
Talk to Mr. Jacoby DeBouvier right now, talking about some of the movies he's made, including Nothing to Lose, and what else have you done? You were in Navy SEALs.
Right. I did a movie with Tim Reed called For Real. I was the casting director in that as well. And I love working with Tim Reed because I had done a lot of work with him as a volunteer with his Tim Reed Scholarship Foundation for years. I would help coordinate the celebrity bash. They had a big bash for all the celebrities to come, and then I did some, fashion shows in this Portsmouth City Park with my children's theater, my children's models. So I worked with him quite extensively, with that. And both he and his wife, Daphne, were on my television show. I had a TV show for several years called BPTV. Daphne was on the show more than anybody that I ever interviewed. So
it was called BPTV.
Yeah,
Beautiful People.
BPTV, Beautiful People Television, and Tim was on there. I only interviewed him once, but Daphne, I interviewed her like 5 times. Every time she would come.
Sure.
And I interviewed James Avery and all of the people that would come down for the Celebrity Weekend. But then I would take it on location to different shows, where I interviewed Magic Johnson, Shaka Khan, Nicole Ray. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, we have some incredible pictures that you sent.
Do you
with,
really?
Yeah, with all of those folks, with quite a number of those people. Now, you ran a children's theater company? I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, as part of Beautiful People, it was a children's theater and an adult theater. So we did a lot of children's productions. Every month, I had either a fashion show or a play. It would be children or adults, a fashion show and a play. And then sometimes we would combine them together, but really not too much, because as the theater grew, I started writing more adult things for the theater because I wanted more black box theater, black repertory theater. So I wanted to do more things, but I still kept the children theater, for children topics or gospel. I came up with this idea. I saw a lot of gospel plays coming around, and they never had a gospel play with a children cast. So I wrote a gospel play called What God Has for Me with an all-children's cast. And I had seen the Showtime at Apollo used to have children on there.
Right.
So I saw these two young people from Hampton Roads. I was like, well, who are these kids singing like this? And if they're this close, I need them in this play. So I called to the theater and I asked them who they were, and they gave me their contact information, and were able to get them in the play, and they were fantastic actors as well as singers. They brought the house down. They did it 2 years in a row.
Where was this done? Where?
That was done in my theater.
Okay,
Yeah,
this was over in Churchland, right?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Right.
Bethany Tom Lee was the female, and Antoine Dotson was the female. Was the male vocalist and actor. They were the lead actors, and then Michael Hammonds, he played the drums, and he is a very gifted actor as well. So everybody was in there, and then I had a lot of great kids that come through there. Over 500 people were signed to the agency throughout the years.
Very good. Now, with the Tim Reed Scholarship thing, that speaks to your commitment to doing work in the community as well. And tell us a little bit about that. I know you're with the NAACP, and we're going to segue in a moment to the event you have coming up. But what kind of community activism have you been involved in?
Well, I joined the NAACP in 2007. My godmother is the president of it now, and she's
This
been
is
there.
the Suffolk chapter?
Yes, the Suffolk chapter. She's the president. She's been doing that this is her second term. So she is doing well with it, and she needed some assistance. So she called me and she was like, you got a lot of, attributes that we need, because during that time, not that the seniors, aren't valuable, but they have a way of standing neutral. So the whole association was pretty much retired school teachers. So she thought that if someone a little younger came in, some new blood, that would kind of stir things up and revitalize it a little bit. So that's why she thought that I could come in. So she appointed me the chair of media and public relations, and I was able to contract you to come and be one of our speakers one year as a result of that. You did a fantastic job as well.
Well, thank you for the invite. You're doing any other work in the community?
Well, I go to Kingdom Assembly with Dr. Peggy Britt is my pastor, and I'm very active with her and trying to get her radio show back on the air. And, that's the place that I love to be. I've been the minister of music at several churches. I've never played at her church yet, but because, she is an organist, and I don't want to play in front of someone who is so prolific. No.
Right. Well, she's going to know what your position on that now. She's going to know your position on that now, because you're
she knows. We have a very good, relationship. I've admired her as a musician and, a performer for years. And so, when I found out that she had a church that was in close proximity to where I lived, I said I wanted to visit, and I'm glad I did, because she really is a good teacher as well as an excellent musician and a very good person too. I just love being there.
You are a very spiritual person. I know you to be, and you have a lot of community spirit. Okay, and you have done creative work in the church. So I want to ask you a question that kind of brings all those things together, but I think it's one that you can fully appreciate. How important do you think is someone's spiritual fortitude, spiritual maturity, or simple spirituality? How important do you think that is to someone's creative effort?
Well, I think I pray before I make any moves. Anything major that I have to do, I try to pray over it first. Because when you pray, to me, it's like having a phone conversation with God. Everything that I've created, it was because God gave me the vision. He gave me the voice. When you hear sometimes people say, God called me to the ministry, or God, well, how did God call you and he didn't call me? I just figured it out on my own. We wouldn't have a voice unless God told us the words to say, because when people have a stroke, they have a voice, but they can't say it.
Right.
So he has the power to give you a voice, to give you a thought, to give you your creativity. But he also has the power to shut you up while you are moving and not be able to talk or pronounce a word, or to be able to create. So every day when I wake up, I want to create something new. Right now, I'm working on a stage play called Naps, Naps, and Curls, and I have a fantastic cast in that. It's a comedy. And simultaneously, I'm working on an award show. This is my 3rd year doing the Black Men Rock Image Awards, which you won the very first year for Best Playwright, and you were up for something this year in the media. And but we have some very, very talented people in the Hampton Roads area. And the spotlight has been, well, the media has a way of controlling our thought process.
Okay.
And like even with some of the music, you know, that's a part of the media.
We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna take a break because I really want to talk about the Black Men Rock.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with you. All right. Suffolk NAACP, and you do the Black Men Rock Image Awards, the NAACP Image Awards. Tell us about that.
Well, I had a concept. Well, when you are in the NAACP, everything has a process. Everything has to be voted on, and most of the time, your ideas don't necessarily get approved. So I wanted to give money to the NAACP, and I wanted to do it my way. So I created this award because I see all this Black talent. I go to a lot of open mics and karaoke and venues where I just see people perform. I'm like, wow, if they were in Hollywood, they would have a Grammy, or they would have an Oscar, because their quality and caliber of talent is just that prolific. However, they'll never be able to port themselves that far, the money that it takes to go, or the risk that it's going to take. So I said, well, let's just do something that is on the level of a Grammy, a celebration, on our budget, of course, where we have the limousines and the red carpet, and let them feel like the stars that they would be if they do take that risk and get there. And so that's how the first Black Men Rock came about. And I've always been a person that, the Bible says, speak as if it is already happening.
Yes.
And that's what faith is. Faith is believing that something can happen. And so all of the projects that I create, from the modeling agency to the new fragrance I have out, to the books, to the plays, to the fashion shows, the big productions, I want to make sure that when I do something in Virginia, I know that I'm no different than the creators that are in New York or LA, because I've been there and I see they do the same thing. And that sometimes I can not do it as well, and sometimes I can do it as well or better.
And you want to give other folks in Hampton Roads the opportunity to
I want people in Hampton Roads to get that type of glitz and glamour of Hollywood, and to be respected. I want to shift the images of young Black men not being hauled off in police cars and handcuffs, but being highlighted for their gifts and their talents. We got people like Mr. Alvin Kills, who has a big State Farm agency. We have people like you who are on the air right now, controlling the media, doing a great job. Then we have singers like Dominique Carr, who's getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. I mean, the list goes on and on. We have models, we have business people, we have actors, we have producers. I mean, there's a big gamut of people who are at the top of their game, and they need to, be celebrated.
What do you think is the greatest challenge that an African-American artist, well, let me say an African-American male in this region, what do you think is the greatest challenge that an African-American male artist has in, working in this market?
Well, I think that a lot of people aren't successful because they don't have the self-motivation. A lot of people have the gifts, the talent, but they're not motivated enough. And a lot of people listen to negative energy. They'll listen to people say, oh, you can't do this, or you can't do that. You can't do this, or you can't do that. And I always surmise that when I hear that, like when I speak, I mentor to youth a lot, because there are a couple of people in Suffolk that voted me to come and speak with their organization. They mentor groups in Suffolk. We spoke not too long ago at a youth breakfast. And they have their organization for Suffolk businesses. And then I initially got introduced to that by this gentleman by the name of Seiko Varner, who invited me to speak to some youth through the Omega Sci-Fi chapter. And they really were receptive, and I said, wow, I want to do more of that. But what I try to tell them is that if you're raised with chickens and you're an eagle, thinking out of the box, you'd think you're a chicken for a while, because all you hear is the quack, quack, quack. You kind of look like them, but you know you're different. But you know your wings are different, but you don't know you can fly. But all you hear is bop, 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 quack, quack, quack. One day, you spread your wings, and you say, I don't have to listen to this anymore. I can go anywhere in the world. So it's just how you think of yourself. And I always say that if the school systems put in some of those, a motivational book to let people set goals and have their personal coach, either by reading or listening to a motivational coach like Tony Robbins or Les Brown. I think one of the greatest achievements I've had recently was the opportunity to open up and speak for with Les Brown on the program. And that was at the Maury Center. And that just happened to happen because I always listen to his tapes on YouTube, and you know, he does have a way, because he was pronounced mentally retarded. Right. And he has a lisp, which you can't tell today. Mm-hmm. But these are challenges that he came to make $1,000 an hour. So he didn't do anything that we can't do. And Tony Robbins, I think that when I start listening to his series of tapes, that's really who made me think that my abilities were unlimited. Because here I was in sales, that requires a certain amount of communication skills. Right. You have to be able to be a good communicator to get someone to sign something that's worth $100,000 for a policy, or to take your money and invest it, and you don't even know me. I'm gonna put this in stocks and funds and mutual funds, and this in insurance. Okay, so you're gonna have to be kind of eloquent to get my money out of my pocket, invest it with somebody that you really have no idea who they are. So, but when I listen to Tony Robbins, it's his energy. You know, he's saying, well, you can do this, write these goals down, do it today. Don't look at the obstacles, look at the goal. Keep your eyes on the prize. You can do this.
But before we close, I want to make sure we get as much information as we can in about Black Men Rock Image Awards. When is it and where?
The Black Men Rock Image Awards will take place on June the 8th at 6:00 p.m. at the Virginia Beach Central Library Theater. That's on Virginia Beach Boulevard. And we're going to have a mini pre-reception. There is a gentleman by the name of Stephen Sykes that lives in Richmond. He's coming down to partner with me on that, and also
on the reception.
Yeah, okay. On the reception, and he's doing the video. When he heard about what I was doing, he's in Richmond, and we got people right here locally in Hampton Roads that isn't as, you know, eager to participate or help or sponsor or buy a ticket or get an ad, which we do need that. I mean, because every nonprofit, you know, either the producer has to, you know, bankroll it to get it happening, or, you know, everybody has to participate in some kind of sales. I know well that experience. Where can people go for information? They can go on Facebook to the 3rd annual NAACP Black Men Rock Image Award. So we have a website, it's called blackmenrock.com, and that's where you can go.
And thank you for joining us on Biorhythms. Please tell all of your friends about this exciting program happening right here in Hampton Roads.